Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of LFC Transfer Room Saturday night stream. It's the Saturday night club, and it's a bit of a somber atmosphere. It's not going to be exciting. I'm not going to feel as energetic as what I normally do. In fact, I've not even got my Liverpool shirt on because after that performance today, I didn't really fancy it. As bad as it might seem, that and I actually cut the grass and got it covered in dust. I had to put it in the wash. But these things happen. We'll break it all down. And we will go from there. But listen, it's not all doom and gloom. Let's try to focus on some positives. That we've got 3 out of 4, and we're still marching up that league table with a bit of a blip today. Shane, how did you feel today? And I suppose what is it that went wrong?
Frustrating, mate. It's absolutely frustrating. It's just I can take it when we play bad and then we lose the game. We actually dominated the game. I don't know if we were. It felt like we were back again from some of the past seasons when we would just go at it and we just can't finish. I think in the first half, I think Diaz he hit the post once, and we had a few close calls as well. The keeper fumbled the ball and almost went in. I thought we were okay first half. I think in the second half, it just felt like the opposite. It felt like we would, at least thought with Slot, how he has been managing so far, that he will see those things in the first half and we would manage the game better. It actually felt we went and got more desperate, and suddenly we were just, having, mispassing the ball. We were losing the ball so many times. I think Szoboszlai, Trent, both of them lost the ball a few times in the second half. And then it was like shambolic. I don't think we would even score if we played another half, to be honest with you, the way we were going at it. So the second half for me was even more disappointing, if anything. So yeah, I don't know how to put this. In like, you beat United 3-0, and then I saw a stat somewhere today, like we beat United 7-0, and when we go on to lose to Bournemouth 1-0. It just feels the same. It's like we're back again. It's like that's what's frustrating even more, right? You don't want to see that becoming a habit.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose so. But again, we blew Manchester United out of the water. I think the international break really came at a bad time for Liverpool. And, it's a little bit unfortunate in terms of we've built that momentum. We've had players go away. Mac took a couple of knocks, and then they go, straight back into it. I did expect better from the substitutes. Again, we'll get into that in a little while. I am going to add another one of our lads here before I get onto the comments. Okay, so I've got to go to a 3-person overlay, and I'm going to add Tosin into bits as well. I actually thought Tosin, I thought he was in the bath. I thought he was just chilling in the bath, mate. So yeah, I'm glad that you're not, all right, and you have got your clothes on. But yes, again, these things happen, and these things for Liverpool do tend to happen, especially against the low block. What is it against the low block? Do you think that Liverpool over the past 10 years really have dealt with? It's always a difficult struggle to go up against really well-organised blocks. Now, I'm not taking anything away from Nottingham Forest. I thought they did really well today to frustrate Liverpool, to break down the tempo of the game and to really dictate the play, if I'm honest. At Anfield, really difficult to do. And I'm sure we'll get onto the atmosphere in a bit because that was just as dire as the performance. But again, it's that low block. What is it that we need to do, Tosin? What is it that we need to do to really, up the tempo as soon as we, face that well-organised low block?
In all sincerity, Richie, I'd be lying if I said I perhaps would be able to shed a bit more light, because I've thought about it. And it was, like you said, it's an issue we've had for a long time. Is it in terms of creativity, in terms of the profile of a player we need who's going to be a line breaker in the final third of the field? But, you begin to look at the profile of players we have. And as much as I want to say it's profile of the players, I think it's more about, I don't want to say mentality, but I think it's a thing of the mind. I thought today, particularly, and I want to perhaps maybe limit it to today and say the guys panicked a bit too early. I think the moment the goal didn't come in the first half, they began to question themselves and they were looking at, okay, we need to score quickly. And the longer we went without a goal, the more it kind of felt like, okay, now what are we going to do? And then players were mishitting passes. They were trying to do it all on their own. It sort of became mental. And, when you start the season the way we started the season, 3 straight wins, didn't concede, you just begin to sort of feel like you sort of buy into your own hype, for the lack of better words. And at the moment, it just looks like it's not going the way you expect it to go. Then you begin to doubt yourself. And I think that was I just finished watching the game again. And I'll be honest, I don't think it's as bad as people are making it. Were we bad in the game? I think we were. There were some phases of the game that were not good, but I think it was not as bad as people are making it. I just sort of felt that in the final third, we were making some decisions that were not necessary. And in terms of getting a player of, say, maybe a profile of the Kevin De Bruyne, or you say maybe like a Toni Kroos, and the irony, we have these players. Trent Alexander-Arnold can break the lines. He can play a pass. Mohamed Salah can break the lines. He's a force multiplier. We also have a centre-back who can do the same thing as well in Virgil van Dijk. So we have the quality of players who can do these things, who can be special. But I just think it came down to the fact that guys, they were tired physically. And I think it sort of also grew to mental tiredness, so much so they were looking for the shortcut. And so it was like, you know what? Let's quickly get this goal. Maybe if I pass it quickly this way, we will get the goal. There were that 3 instances where Mohamed Salah, uncharacteristic of him, made a pass where you're thinking, but you don't do that more. So I think it was more psychological and more lethargy that translated from physical lethargy to mental lethargy for today's game. But for years past, I think it was always down to the style of play. And because of the fact that we were fresh off an international break, it was easy for Nuno. Let's keep them in front of us. If they can't get in, if we can see them, then they can't, and they're not behind us, then we won't create there won't be a lot of danger. We had moments, but we were just not able to seize those moments of brilliance. And they didn't make any mistakes as well.
And for me, I mean, let's break it down. Let's have some structure here, because if not, we're just going to rant, I think, and rave for the next half hour. And we are only going to go for half hour because I don't like talking about losses. In fact, it frustrates me more than anything else. But, the first half wasn't bad. We had chances. I think there were still the signs there in the first half where we wasn't linking up play very well, where we was... I didn't feel a tempo, and I always felt that the second half, which we'll get on to in about 10 minutes, I always felt the second half is where Liverpool really play, and kicking towards the top end, that's where they should really play. But for me, the dynamism wasn't there, and you could almost see the pattern that Liverpool of old fell into, where the players didn't joining up, and it felt very disjointed, and that was our best 11 today. I'm not going to skirt over any issues. That was our best 11 that we had available today. And probably, bar Harvey Elliott on the bench, that was probably our best 11 anyway, without Chiesa in there, because we've not seen Chiesa in a Liverpool shirt. So, I mean, there were lots and lots of things where the forced past in that final third seemed to happen. If you look at the chances that Liverpool had, Jota saw the ball from McAllister, which was a beautiful ball from the outside of his boot. Absolutely beautiful. Again, not hit with a lot of conviction, but I do think he sees it late. He's in between 2 defenders. Luis Diaz creates that chance where he smashes it against the post. He does brilliantly well there. He absolutely left that Nottingham Forest player on the deck. And it was just it felt like we was, okay, right, first half, getting through the gears, going through the motions, and we probably could have scored 1. I didn't ever think we was going to score more than that in the first half, if I'm completely honest. And Forest looked good, didn't look like a threat, didn't really look like scoring in the first half. And I think that's where lots of frustrations come from. And again, we'll get on to the second half in a minute, but for me, Forest were actually more open in the first half, which is quite funny because you'd expect them to shut down shop in the second half, and obviously that's where they scored their goal. But Sharon, where in that first half, if you could make any improvements apart from the tempo, I think I was Maka's header was a great chance as well, as Jay's just said here in the chat. I think obviously not taking those chances, but they're not massively clear-cut chances. They're not those that you think, Moreno had a good game against Salah, but I was still expecting Salah in the second half to come out. But alas, it didn't happen. I just think you have to break the game down by halves, and Liverpool looks far stronger in that first half.
Yeah, and also, so go, Sean.
Sorry, I like I was saying, we dominated that first half. We should have scored one goal for sure. Like Diaz hit the post, like I mentioned. But the problem is also again, we've been there. I mean, the problem is if we play poorly and then we are not able to score or we lose at home at Anfield, at our home against Forest, I can still buy it. We actually played well and we should have got our goal. And this is where I think we have to be more clinical up front. And the problem today was, I think almost 5 or 6 of our starting 11 had played in the international matches, like the full 90 minutes or something like that, right? Very close to the full capacity. I think if you look at the fixtures coming forward, and later I'm going to touch on that, I think it's all going to be about game management and squad management as well. I think Slot even mentioned that, and I was expecting maybe Chiesa would be on the bench instead of having so many defenders. Like he would even get 10 minutes in the end. I don't think he's that off pace that he couldn't start have a 10-minute today. And in fact, we could have even shuffled the midfield a bit as well. I know Endo is not his type of player, but what options do we have, right? I mean, look at Gravenberch looked tired today. He had a great game, but he did look, pretty tired, and I wouldn't blame him. We are playing Milan on Tuesday, and then we're back again against Brentford. What if Gravenberch gets an injury? What are we gonna do then, right? We're gonna say, oh, if we had Grav, we would have won this game, right? We'll be back again.
But this was always the issue with our lack of activity in the window. Was our first 3 games we were playing one game once a week, and once a week, and that's not football. Okay, so Gravenberch can't play, and McAllister and Szoboszlai, they can't up that tempo, especially in midfield. You can't play and plan football for once a week when it doesn't happen like that. And we've seen the international break, and we were all, I'm sure, absolutely going wild over Gravenberch's 40, 50 yard cut outside of the volley pass. But that's football, and that's why you have a big squad. And again, I'm not blaming what happened in the summer, but I actually sort of am. We don't have the depth and the quality. We saw that when Jones came on. Yes, he's just come back from an injury.
Richie, imagine we had Zubomendi on the bench today. Imagine we had him in the squad today. You wouldn't be talking about he would be controlling this game. He would either Mac or Graf gets a rest. Okay, Mac already was injured and couldn't play the full minutes.
He took a knock.
He took a knock. Why are we throwing our players through this kind of I already read a stat Szoboszlai and Mac have already done the most kilometers in terms of running in the league already in 3 games, some 30 kilometers or something. This is unrealistic expectation, right? And then when our players look tired, they look lack of ideas. This is why you need to freshen up the squad. Sorry, go on.
Yeah. No, it's fine. I was just saying, this is the unrealistic part of football where it has to come down to, you cannot just expect players to play 2-3 times a week. And we saw Gravenberch and Mac play twice in the week and Szoboszlai play twice in the week. And then they come, to Anfield and they do look leggy and they can't get the tempo up because they don't have a rest. Tosin, first half then before we move on to the second half. Again, like I said, I thought we played okay. I thought we'd kick on in the second half. But I thought the first half, apart from it being slow and a bit disjointed, I don't think, again, I'm not blaming individuals here, but there were individual performances that weren't good enough. The likes of Jota, the likes of Szoboszlai. And again, these are the players who've been praising when they're playing once a week because they've got the rest time. Yes, the depth isn't there. We know that. But at the same time, what else could have happened in that first half to perhaps, apart from scoring a goal, just made you feel a little bit like, okay, well, at least we're playing well.
So in all sincerity, I'd say this. I thought in the first half, in terms of progressions, and I like some of the things that Slot said in his post match about how we didn't get the opportunity to transition because some of the goals we scored have been from transitions, and this was a team that was playing long balls in behind. I sort of also felt in the first half, and I'll be honest, first 10 minutes, the moment I saw the way Forest set up in the first 10 minutes and how they kept on allowing us have the ball, but we could not affect the game in dangerous areas, I knew it was going to be a slugfest and it was going to be a long 90 minutes. And that's the reason why I think, to a degree, when you watch Slot's body language, it seemed to be taking aback a bit in terms of the way the opponent set up, because he saw the first long ball, saw the second long ball, and I tried to observe his body language, and he kind of like realized, I think maybe we did not get this right here. And I'm pretty sure we'll go back and watch, especially the first half. And that's what I want us to, if we perhaps go and watch back the first half of this game, there are some things you will notice. Watch when Robo pushes up in the first half versus how he pushes up in the second half. It was not at the same pace where when he jumps, then Grav is able to push to the side and cover for him. And that's because a lot of guys were tired. Anytime Diaz got the ball in the final third, it was 1, 2, and then there were spaces in between, especially in midfield. So we were not winning second balls in the first half. This was the first half. And when we eventually won second balls, because Michael Oliver was a bit lenient with the referee, he allowed everything just go. So I think we didn't get a lot of control, and that was where I began to feel like, okay, we're not controlling this game in the midfield. It looks like it's going to be a game where somebody has to do something special. And when Diaz gets the ball of Ryan Yates on the side on the line, and he skins the defender, cuts in, and then fires that shot, and he hits the bottom of the post. A part of me said, look, let's just play for a goalless draw. If the goal comes, fine. But if it doesn't come, let's not lose the game. You just sort of felt it then, because Jota was not occupying the spaces he usually occupies. And by the time he got into the game in the second half, he had already started panicking. And those passes he would come in between the lines and get, and, play 1-2s with Zobo, or play 1-2, have those passing combinations in the half space with Luis Diaz, or maybe sometimes Mo Salah, or try to get into those spaces where it will drop off a bit, connect with Trent, and then we will transition and build up. He didn't do all of that. And I'm talking in the first half today, there was no cohesion whatsoever. So we were trying to rely on individual brilliance. And Mo, I don't like that I'm saying this, Mo was tired. You could see that Mo was tired from the first half. And I don't know what happened. Maybe the flight was delayed from Egypt, or maybe when he came in, he didn't have enough time to rest. But you just knew he was tired. And from that moment, I just sort of realized, okay, Virgil made an uncharacteristic mistake in the first half as well, where he hit a pass. So, from that moment, you just sort of realized, okay, it's going to be a slugfest. So I think the lack of cohesion in the first half, and the fact that we had to start relying on individual brilliance too early.
And how many times, Dawson, just to add to what you said about Mo, how many times have you seen him flap his arms so much? Like, every other time, he was so frustrated today. I have not seen Mo Salah being so frustrated at, like, every time somebody had a miss pass, like Szoboszlai, the ball kind of, didn't go to his feet. He was like, waving his arms in the air. Like, it was evident he wasn't feeling it today. So, yeah, it was an off day for everyone.
Yeah, and I think, like I said, we just lost that momentum going forwards. And don't know. There was a disjointed feel about Liverpool today. Moving on to the second half, then I thought it was going to come out all guns blazing. You kick into the Kop, the famous Kop, and I did genuinely think that we'd find that gear. It felt a bit like the Ipswich game, where first half bit slow, bit lethargic, a little bit leggy in some aspects, and then second half just came out absolutely completely different team and dominated them. That obviously didn't happen. Now listen, Tosin said about Ryan Yates. This might sound crazy, but for me, he was the man of the match today because he disrupted Liverpool like nobody else. He made that game what it was. He was absolutely terrible. He dominated McAllister in that first half with his cheeky little fouls, and he never did enough. I know he got a booking, obviously, but he never did enough for it to be so obvious, like the hand in the face. That hurts, right? Okay. I mean, I played
proper
rugby, so
Barclays performance. Proper Barclays.
Yeah,
you know.
it was. Yeah, it was. I mean, like I said, I play rugby. Handoffs don't hurt me, but they do footballers. But like, kicks in the chest again didn't hurt me, but they do footballers. I joke. But for me, Ryan Yates was brilliant. He was all over the pitch today. Yes, he made a huge mistake for the Diaz chance, but apart from that, Forest just did so well in that second half. Not just to disrupt the tempo, but actually look more lethal. I think Nuno, and again, I mentioned it earlier, and someone said in the chat, and I pulled it up. Nuno won the tactical battle today when it came to the subs, because the commentators, I don't know what stream she was listening to, were saying, oh, well, they're resting Hudson-Odoi and they're resting Elanga. Like, it's at Anfield, what are they doing? Nuno knew that as soon as he brought those subs on for the last half hour, they had the energy to run at Liverpool, and that's exactly what both of them did. Ali made a fantastic save against Elanga. Hudson-Odoi, brilliant finish. For me, the second half was even worse than the first half in terms of, Nuno's subs worked and ours didn't. Forest, Electric Dream says here, didn't look tired. They didn't. They generally didn't look tired. We looked more tired. We looked more lethargic. We couldn't break them down. And Robert says that we have more shots on and off target today than the United game. How many did you really expect to score? Those United chances, we blew them away. Our XG must have been huge. There wasn't really that many chances. And again, the embarrassing thing for me is in that second half, I generally can't remember a clear-cut chance in which we could have taken, a goal, let alone a draw, like a goal. And for me, that's where it fell down. I mean, again, let's not talk about the subs yet, but just talk about the build-up into those subs. And Slot had to change something. I don't disagree with the subs at all, because he had to change something. But again, we didn't come out fighting. We didn't come out thinking, right, this is Anfield. This is our fortress. This is what we've got to do to win.
Yeah, we didn't. And you know what? The second half was more disappointing than the first half, like I mentioned already, because of those reasons, right? I expected us to play differently. We actually kept doing the same thing. It felt like we started doing the same thing with more intensity for whatever reason. And it kind of played into Nuno's hands a bit. He was waiting for the scoreline to be 0-0 as much as possible to give that half an hour to all his, like Hudson-Odoi and Elanga, so that he can go at us for the last 20-25 minutes. And that's exactly what they did. And we kind of played into that whole plan, the game plan that they had. Now, speaking about the performances, even I can tell from, sitting here that Szoboszlai was having a terrible game today. He had I think one of the worst games I've seen him play today. Like, everything he was touching, like he's trying to string two passes, can't get that right. He can't run into the box. He doesn't even shoot. Szoboszlai, I know he's known for his shooting, even for Hungary. Show some of that, mate. Like, take the ball out and take on the defender, shoot at the keeper. Their keeper ain't the best. We already saw he already almost fumbled the ball to the net. Why not test him, right? Szoboszlai was bad. I was expecting Slot to bring him off. And I know we don't have Elliott, but you can play Gakpo there. Gakpo has played 10 for Netherlands. I mean, that's where the manager needs to come up with something different, right? And I don't know why we took off Diaz. Diaz was probably, he wasn't, I know he didn't score, but he was the one who was looking most likely to score or to get a goal. And I bet you Diaz would have taken a shot or scored today. I just feel like he was there. If he was on the pitch, he would have got us a goal. So I didn't understand why take off Diaz, and then like Darwin. I mean, coming on. I mean, I was one of the biggest Darwin supporters. I thought give him a chance, and he has the attributes and everything. It's just not working. I don't know what it is. Like since the moment he came on, like imagine Nottingham Forest subs or attackers having more impact at Anfield against Liverpool in against our defense than our forwards who are Gakpo and Nunes did not impact the game at all. I don't think they did enough to justify it. And I think you will see some changes. And this is Slot's first transfer window, first summer. I'm sure he doesn't want to rattle the team too much. I just feel like there are changes coming. It has to be. It's inevitable. And I think Darwin Nunes will be one of those guys to kind of go off and kind of we'll look into a number 9 or someone like that. So yeah, overall very disappointing. Even Robertson, I just feel like he's like running out of ideas. I think he's kind of don't know if he suits the slot system that well either. So I think yeah, it was very disappointing to see overall performance in the second half even more than the first half. Yeah.
Tosin, then the subs come on, and we think, oh, this might. Well, I certainly did think it might rejuvenate, re-energize, and make Liverpool a better outfit going forward. We saw the Cody Gakpo in the Euros. He was absolutely electric from that left-hand side. We've seen Darwin Nunez for Uruguay light the world on fire in more ways than one, especially when it goes into the crowd. For me, the biggest waste of talent is putting Trent Alexander-Arnold in midfield. Like, you just can't do it. For me, I think that's where we lost the midfield battle. Yeah. Trent goes missing in midfield. Tosin, I think that if you want to put on Connor Bradley, that's fine. You take him off for Trent. I don't think Trent in midfield works. I don't think Jones, Trent, and Gravenberch in midfield works, and that's what we basically ended up with. How did you think the subs came on? Do you think, again, like you saw the impact of the Forest subs, Liverpool's impact? I'm not even going to embellish it. Like, Liverpool's impact subs were nowhere near the level of Forest's. And again, what is it that you expected when they come on? Did you see something like this happening? Did you expect more? What was it?
I expected more, 100%, but I was really disappointed with the subs, and it was part of why I thought Arne panicked. I thought he panicked with the subs. I didn't think it was necessary. I think he felt because we were not winning the midfield battle, he needed to change something and take off Ale. I didn't think it was smart taking off Ale when he took him off. And I think that's also down to the fact that RV got injured in the most unexpected moments. And because RV was injured, it means obviously that now he's not really had a good scope of what he wanted to do in the middle of the park. But I felt that since that was the scenario, if you knew you wanted to take Makarov, maybe replace him with Joe Gomez, and know that we go into a back three, and then you push Trent a bit, and we know that we're playing a back five. You push Trent a bit forward, you push Robo a bit forward, and then you have a midfield two of Dom and Ryan in the middle of the park. It's not like they can't play. They can play. They've done that very well. And since what they wanted to make the game was a bit of a chaos game, then just let's see who can survive. But hindsight is a beautiful thing. I think the moment Bradley comes on, as much as I'll be honest, watching it in real time, I thought, okay, I see the vision of putting Conor Bradley, but just like you said, I thought he was going to take off Trent, but then he leaves Trent in the field, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe it could be a blessing in disguise. But then the only way it's a blessing is if Trent is able to get the ball in that right midfield space, playing beside Ryan, and is able to play those fast balls. But we were not able to get those balls in transition because they were sitting very deep. And every time they launched a long ball, because Ryan was having to do a lot in the middle, Trent was not winning the second balls because obviously it's a mismatch in the middle of the pack against their guys. And you also have big Chris Wood, who was smart enough not to go and mark the tallest person in the Liverpool team, in Virgil van Dijk, and also was smart enough to know that he was not going to win every duel with Ibu Konate. And also because Matt Sells, the goalkeeper, even though he was not good, knew that he didn't have to punt the ball that gets into our last line. They had to just get it in a place whereby, Chris Wood will drop off, win that ball, and then there will be chaos in midfield, and whether we'll be able to sort it. Watch from the moment Maka goes off. We start to play stray passes in midfield because we're looking for people who are not there.
So and listen, I don't want to come across you, but I don't want you to go too far because I wanted to bring you back to something. When we had Trent in midfield, you will notice that as soon as we're playing out from the back, right, they let Trent have the ball and that quarterback position almost, because they're saying, go on then, ping a ball over the top. We'll deal with it because they were so narrow and Liverpool played into those hands too. Liverpool didn't keep their width. And this is what happens when Trent goes into midfield. Liverpool don't have that width on either side. So we, Forest say, okay, go narrow. We'll win the ball. And if not, we'll win the second ball. And that is exactly what happened. They say, okay, Trent, go on then. You're in the middle of the park now. You've got to literally play through us, and we're playing a low block. You can't play through us when we play a low block because you've not been able to do it all game. The only way in which Liverpool in that first half got, again, some success, not massive success, was out wide on the flanks where Salah, again, Moreno had a great game, but where Salah was up against Moreno, where Diaz was up against Yates or Arne, it was the width in that first half that made Liverpool threatening. As soon as Trent goes in the midfield, it just capitulates because they say, okay, have the ball, come at us, we'll play low block, we'll play a real low defensive line as well. And Liverpool are not a team made of monsters, okay? They're not going to win every single aerial duel when you go up against the likes of Chris Wood, when you go up against, the likes of Arne, who's a pretty stacked lad as well, and so is, half of the Forest team. So it just played into their hands, didn't it? I didn't want to come across you too much, but I did just want to highlight the fact that Trent going into that midfield, okay, have the ball. There you go. You're in the central position now. It's so much harder to ping a ball left and right when you're centre because there's not much room there when you're comparing to the right and you can whip it across. Okay, anyone who's played football knows that. And anyone who knows the space that Trent gets and is afforded on that right-hand side, his 1-2s, his quick football with Salah, his quick football with Szoboszlai, his quick football with Elliott, on that right-hand side is what makes Trent dangerous. Not sitting in that quarterback position, having a look around, trying a Hollywood pass, Forest defender nods it down, buff, it's booted away. There's a reason why we didn't really have that many chances in the 90th minute because we didn't really build up anything. Sorry, anyway.
I agree with you 100% with that. And I thought that was why I thought that he panicked a bit too early to make those subs. Cody didn't bring anything much. I thought if he wanted to take someone off at that point that he did, he should have it should have been just Diogo coming off for maybe Darwin. I thought from that moment onward, we did not have an identity, and it was very easy for Forest to defend. And in the dying moments of the game, my word, that was the worst football I've seen Liverpool play, including the Dalglish era, including the Hodgson era, and we've seen some horrible football. That was terrible in the last 5 minutes. There was no urgency. There was no push. It looked like we were the ones leading 1-0 and we wanted the game to be over. And I thought from that moment onwards, after the subs, we were just not able to control the game. And that was just the sad part. We couldn't control the game. We did not try to put them in situations whereby they had to make a decision. The crosses we put in were not dangerous enough to cause a problem in no man's land. And then you also look at the fact that we didn't even try to generate high pressure situations in and around the box. especially with some of those passes. We were playing intricate passes in and around the box, and then it got to a stage. Salah plays one when Ryan was obviously the free man and was calling for the ball. There was another one where Dom overruns the pass. There's another one where Robo calls for the pass from Ryan. Ryan plays the pass into Robo's path, and Robo doesn't read the pass that comes his way. So, that's all in the second half alone. And you can imagine there was also a situation where Trent, Connor, and Dom exchange passes. Connor plays across into the box. It gets headed away the first time, and then Connor does not. I don't know what he was trying to do the second time, second goal. He just whips in the ball into the box, maybe expecting that miracle is going to happen, and nobody connects with the ball. There was also one where Salah plays the ball. I thought maybe he was thinking that Darwin was there, and nobody's there.
Sorry, Tosin. So this is where, pinging the ball into the box. I think this is again revisiting the Klopp era. Like, towards the end, during Klopp's tenure, we were all complaining about this, that we just ping balls, hoof football, just pinging balls into the box and hoping someone was going to get to the end of it. Today's game was actually worse. I have never seen us so desperate to get a goal and we just lose our whole shape throughout the pitch. And it looked like a basketball game more than anything. The thing that we have been complaining, that we have been playing too much, basketball end to end, it was all, it felt everything like that. And like you said, all our substitutions only made us worse. It broke our shape one by one. So yeah, I didn't understand at all.
I'm just gonna, game being gone. Arne Slot, I thought in his press conference, brilliant. He said he was disappointed. He said we've got to do better. He didn't make any excuse whatsoever. He was not happy with that performance, and that's exactly, for me, the response that we need. I'm gonna ask something, and I started earlier because it wasn't the time, because we were obviously breaking down the game. Why is the atmosphere missing from Anfield? Now, Jay's asked this, and this, for me, I do go to Anfield fairly regularly. It's not really, for me, some sort of revelation. Anfield, especially on a Saturday, has been very, very poor atmosphere-wise for a very, very long time, I would say. For the first few years anyway. For the past few years. The only real atmosphere that I can ever recall over the past 4 or 5 years is obviously the league win. The atmosphere was electric there because we knew what was happening, but also the European nights. Now, listen, I can't pinpoint where it is, but what I can pinpoint is the fact that we are not loud enough. And I say we as a collective, okay? We are not loud enough. If you are not going there to sing, and Jurgen had to say this, which is embarrassing, if you are not going to Anfield to sing, give your ticket to someone else who will, because the power of Anfield is so, so special. And that feels like it's getting further and further away from us.
Richie, I saw people leaving and the 89th minute today. Did you see that? Like, how are you leaving?
It's 1-0. If you're losing 5, 6, 7-0, okay, I can sort of understand it. Or you boo, or you throw things on the pitch in protest, not any rocks or bricks or anything like that, or a pig's head. But it's embarrassing that people are leaving when we are. It's 1-0. Okay, we've seen before Liverpool down to 10 men against Newcastle last season. Darwin Núñez scores to make it 2-1 in the 90th minute. We've seen Carvalho against the same team, Newcastle, score in the 90th minute. How many times do we see Liverpool score in the 90th minute? And if you were one of those people, give your ticket to someone else. It doesn't matter how you feel. Okay, look, you're there to support the team. All right, and you represent all of us who would give anything to be there. And if you're the fortunate ones to be there, don't you dare walk out on 88 minutes, and don't you dare walk out not cheering, not singing, and not supporting your own players. Because for me, you're not a Liverpool fan if you do things like that. Why? Because you want to get away half hour early? Like, what have you got to gain with that? I'd rather sit in traffic for another hour than potentially miss an equaliser or a winner. For me, listen, again, I'm not blaming anybody. Okay, people are saying about the tourism, people are saying about the increase in hospitality, which isn't going to be great. All right, let's be honest. But the fact of the matter is, if you are paying for that ticket, God damn it, stay and support the lads, because there's nothing worse, there's nothing more soul destroying than you look up at those stands and you see people leaving in their droves, and you think, well, they've given up on us. Why shouldn't we? For me, it's not good enough. Okay, Anfield it should be special. It always has been special. Anfield is that secret superpower that Liverpool have, and I'll never understand it. And I would love someone to come on and explain to me why, if they've left on the 87th minute, why? Because there's so many people around the world who would give their blood and guts just to be in that position. So please, come on, lads, let's just not do that. We're Liverpool until the very, very end. And for me, there's no excuse that will be good enough. Last minute thoughts, I suppose, with Sharon and Tosin. Thank you all for joining us so much tonight. Thanks for everything. But last minute thoughts. Tosin, we'll start with you. We'll start with you first, bud.
Yeah, I just want to say once again that most importantly, I know that the spirit is down for everyone and everyone feels like it's the end of the world. I'll be honest, I felt like shit at full time because I was like, what on God's green earth just happened? But, it's one game, and I'm pretty sure that the guys are going to learn, and see you in Milan on Tuesday. It will be a great game. I trust the guys to bounce back. We're going to get the result. And next weekend, we'll be back once again, win that game. Look, if this game is the game that Arne needs to wake up, and then we win our next 30 games, and we're champions with 4 games to the end of the Premier League season, I mean, I don't care, bro. Like, I really don't care if this is the only game we're going to lose this season. So that's just all that matters for me. I'd rather us lose now than lose in April. So let's lose now. I mean, last season we started so well, and then we felt like we were going to win the title, and then March happened, April happened, and then we're all feeling like shit. But now we've lost today. Get it behind me. Now let's look forward, and we're going to win the league.
Sharon, any last thoughts?
Yeah, I think I'm looking forward to see how Slot juggles with the squad depth. I think now that we're getting into UCL, I think we are playing Milan, Bournemouth, and then we have the cup game against West Ham, right? So it's not going to be easy. We play 3 competitions now within a week, right? So I want to see how much trust he has on these squad players. Like Endo, for example, doesn't see the pitch at all, right? So I want to see whether he rates him in any capacity. If he does, then he will be playing some of those players in the coming, maybe against Milan, at least, give them at least half an hour or something like that. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll tell us a lot about where Slot thinks our squad is right now. And hopefully we get some rest and rotation, because we are having a packed October and November. I think we play Madrid, Leipzig, Chelsea, Arsenal. It's coming, boys. So I hope we rest some of these lads and manage the squad properly. I'm hoping we do that. Yeah.
And this is what football is about. We want to play the Madrids, the Leipzigs, the Chelseas, the Arsenals. We want that from Liverpool Football Club, On to the next one. All right, we've had a nice little moan, 45 minutes. Had a nice little moan, get it out of our system. All right, I had to go and cut the grass to try and find my head again. But listen, we're Liverpool until we die, and things like this happen. Okay, over to Milan, the Champions League, where we're back where we belong, and I'm thoroughly excited about it. And I'm pretty sure we'll get there again next season. So thank you all for joining us. There's been over 3,000 of you for joining us tonight in the Saturday Night Club, which maybe things didn't go our way, but I'm still confident that Arne, Slot and the boys will bring us success at the end of this season. Thank you all for joining us. Take care. God bless. And forever up the Reds.